Welcome to my channel Sella Buzz. Respected members of the Congress, cherished companions, have you observed a priest with disturbing hidden facts and secrets that caused him to die? Here's one. Pope Francis and his misplaced correspondence have made the unimaginable visible. It explains a contentious background and a sinister church political participation, as well as tense attachments that were better off unsaid. To say that his letter was startling is a vast understatement. The information will keep you glued to your seat. Are you curious to know? Let's get into it. The last letter was missing. The Catholic Pope Francis was seen favorably by the Church. He was a crucial person, and that brought obligations. For many years, the individuals believed he was carrying out his divine goal, but they quickly found out that the letters appeared to be a danger to what they thought. They've perused a lot of his letters preceding the final discovery. Every letter has an eerie disclose that surpasses the one prior to it. Those who had read his letters were astounded by what they saw. How did this experience occur under their nose? They would have tarnished the knowledge in front of them. However, it wasn't arbitrary assertion made by anybody. It came from the Honorable Francis. While they were taking thoughtful consideration of the words written down by the former member of the Cardinal Catholic Society, they were more disoriented, more so than before. The Pope had a reputation for pushing church limits, but don't cross them. But his last letter reveals everything. All we know about the Pope is that he might have been false. What specifics were revealed in this letter? Which skeletons? Was there anything in his cupboard? Was he one of the unfortunate people who were unable to escape before it was too late? The data. This letter deviates from the world is aware of his passing. These letters' contents contained something gloomy and unsightly. It's accurate. Too heavy forwards. Was he sent by his desire for power to a premature death? The Pope may have mature, but current data suggests reasons of death that are not natural. We'll let you know about it, but first assisting you in comprehending all aspects of the revelation of the Pope. Let's begin with where everything took place. The Catholic Church. The Catholic Church provided Pope Francis's presence in a location of assistance. However, his last letter disclosed they may have created a grave error. The Catholic Church has a long history, around 2,000 years, which makes it among the longest-standing establishments in the world. The organization's past it's essential to one of the most commonly used Christianity is one of the religions. You might be shocked to hear that Western culture is the cornerstone of the history of the Church. It is thought to have Jesus Christ founded it, and he is acknowledged as the spiritual leader. Yet bishops are the direct descendants of this task and leadership. Paul, the Apostle, is regarded as the first bishop to be instructed by Jesus to share the gospel. He established the Rome's church and served as the temporal head of the Church of Christ. Since then, this doctrine has been upheld by successors to the present, signifying an ongoing history beginning with Jesus Christ. Although there are further branches of Catholicism, the largest branch of Christianity, each of which has more than 1.4 million believers worldwide by 2024. With more than 1,000 parishes and dioceses that rank higher than 100,000, it's without a doubt the biggest global organization. The Catholic Church does not, however, always concur on such sensitive subjects. Its influence on the world construction is extensive. At the close of the 20th century, the Pope's organization Francis faced criticism for his leadership. Because it teaches homoeroticism, it's opposed the ordination of women, and it's regarding criminal cases that include the clergy. But given its function in education, healthcare, and charity go beyond that of any form of governance. With 10,000 Catholic colleges, universities, and hospitals, orphanages, and colleges globally, its commitment to Western development has lasted for ages. Its impact on art, culture, and philosophy, science, music, and literature are demonstrated now by its support of numerous well-known historical personalities and works of art fragments. The Mannerist, Gothic, and Baroque architectural, artistic, and the importance of music in the Church increased. Outstanding pioneers such as Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, and Michelangelo, among the well-known visual artists, are Botticelli, who achieved remarkable success with the assistance to the Church. Catholic, the Church is not merely an old organization, but also the focal point of laws, principles, science, and the contemporary era progress. Its historical significance and the development has received praise for centuries. The Pope, who is the Rome's most powerful bishop, also holds the location of power over other Catholic parishes and bishops around the world. He is Christ's envoy, before to the believers. More than 5,000, 51,000 deacons, bishops, and almost 500 priests defer to the authority of the Pope. Where he dashes, the Roman they are referred to as the Holy See. The Roman is the name of the administrative body, Curia. The Pope has supreme power over the tiny self-governing state of Rome is home to Vatican City. He takes elected to the position of head of state. The ancient city of Vatican City has been acknowledged as the main office of the Church. The Catholic Church maintains beliefs based on sanctity, religion, and spirituality. Every bishop, the heirs to Peter the Apostle, follow this principle that oversees the Christian community in different places globally. Confirmation, baptism. Holy matrimony and penance are two of its holy customs. These customs are indications of God's grace and presence for everyone who accept and believe them. The bishops who are given the sacred assignment are officially authorized to control their respective regions. They oversee priests and deacons as well, who support them in their ministerial capacities. Every bishop answers to the head of the Church, in Rome, who is in charge of the Pope. Observe how Pope Francis handled this distinguished place. He became a leader. The Pope Francis, who is well known, was born Bergoglio, Jorge Mario, on the 17th of Flores, December 1936, a tiny Buenos Aires neighborhood. He was the Mario Jose Bergoglio's first kid, and Regina, and an Italian immigrant accountant Civi, who spent her time caring for he and his 4 siblings. In 1929, the standard of living became unbearable. In order to escape, his family had to flee Italy. The harshness of Benito Mussolini's reign. Mario's family couldn't make it under the strict rule of law. His sole Maria Elena Bergoglio is the sibling who lives with her, as 3 of his siblings passed away under tragic events that occurred during the years. But his niece Cristina Bergoglio is a well-known painter from Madrid. Mario had a good education because he had enthusiasm for education. He received a chemical technician's degree he attended a technical secondary school. His aptitude for his job got him a position at Hikathier's food department Bachmann lab for a number of years. Prior to landing this position, he took on all acceptable ways to make a living, included working as a janitor and bouncer. He was only 21 years old when he encountered a terrible medical emergency. He was identified as having 3 cysts and pneumonia, which resulted in issues and a procedure to remove a portion of his lung. In spite of his weakened state, young Mario was lively and vivacious. Following his recuperation, he created one of the most important choices he's ever made. It made him a global celebrity as an important person in history. Mario was celebrating a spring day. During confession, a priest's inspiration to become a member of Jesus Society, the Order of Jesuits. March 1158, and everything departed from that point. He signed up for an seminary and archdiocese in Villa Buenos Aires, Devoto. He grew inexperienced, Jesuit member, and was required to construct his belief. Are you aware that he once had have a thing for a girl? The youthful seminarian had a little moment of uncertainty of course. In his mind, if he was enamored, maybe. He wasn't summoned to want a profession in religion, but he eventually validated his convictions while remaining in more time spent training. March 12, 1960 formally joined the Jesuit order and took a promise of commitment. In the same year, Mario obtained a philosophy degree and a license from the College of Maximo de San Jose. Had taught psychology and literature at a Santa Fe high school in 1964. One year, he then delivered the same classes at a Buenos Aires college. As he delighted as a teacher, Mario had always been captivated by theology. Thus, he took a vacation from instructing and sought theological studies. In 1969, he was anointed by the Archbishop as a Catholic priest, Jose Ramon Castellaniano. His Initial served as the novice's master for the province, where he later became a theological professor. Mario was brimming with desire to finish his Jesuit education, reached the last phase as a Jesuit, took the last vows while in Spain, encompassing the fourth pledge of allegiance to the mission under the Pope's guidance from 1973 to 1979. The Jesuit was his title, Argentina's provincial superior, and held office for 6 years. His period of the pilgrimage and service were exciting. Journeys to Jerusalem. Following their tenure as he was designated Jesuit Provincial Superior. Rector of the Philosophical San Miguel's Theological Faculty, where he had done his homework. Mario was aware of his next move. Language proficiency is needed for the job. Effectiveness. Thus he used the initial months of his time studying English in Ireland. At this period, he was the Jesuit Centre's resident at the Milltown Theological Institute and Dublin's philosophy. After obtaining an excellent mastery of the English language, he worked at San Miguel until 1986, a turning point. During his journey, he was ordained in 1998 as Buenos Aires's Archbishop. He was appointed a cardinal by the well-known Pope John Paul II in 2001. Mario was wealthy, the Catholic Church's portfolio hierarchy. In addition to his position as Supreme Provincial of the Society of Jesus, took over as the titular ALA's bishop and a deputy bishop of Buenos Aires prior to his resignation from 5 years later, in both offices. In 1998, he served as the Archbishop of Buenos Aires and kept doing so until 2013. Additionally, he served as the Cardinal Priest of Bermino San Roberto from 2000 to 2030. The title of Ordinary was bestowed upon him for the Eastern Rites faithful in 15 years in Argentina. Additionally, in 2005, he became the Argentine President. Episcopal Conference prior to his appointment. 2011 was the expiration date. His remarkable, it appears from titles that he had a pleasant journey, although it wasn't the whole narrative. Mario disagreed with the Jesuit Society, which resulted in his sudden away from its home. In 1992, he was ordered to leave by Jesuit authorities. Members were accommodated in the household. You may be curious about the nature of his transgression after devotedly serving for many years. Mario remained at odds with the leader and academics at the Institute. He got involved them in lunchtime discussions and in his own time, expressing his thoughts on theology. Yet they appeared to have different views from their opinions about Catholic customs. Although he supported freedom and a feeling of obligation to God's will, they believed it to be a permit to cause chaos. The Institute resisted reform and made it impossible to deviate from the stringent guidelines it had maintained for centuries. In addition to being fired from the house, he was deprived of his as Buenos Aires auxiliary bishop. But when he was given the title of bishop, he no longer felt obliged to Jesuit officials. He stayed away from their home and experienced a tense connection with the community until after he was chosen to be pope, assuming the role of pope. For the first time, Mario was a candidate for the election. Upon Pope John Paul II's death in 2005, he was present at the funeral and was among the potential applicants for succession, following involvement as he was not chosen as a cardinal elector. The Pope elected Benedict XVI at conclave. Despite falling back in the Italian magazine, Lime conjectured about race. Mario was the primary and runner-up contestant. Pope Benedict took a rare beaten path by leaving the position in February 2013, following 8 years of leadership. After a month, the Pope, another election was held by conclave, and Mario ascended to the position of Pope on March 13, 2013. His rise to the prestigious position highlighted a record-breaking rampage as well. Mario, who is now Pope Francis, was unique. He was the first pope of the Jesus Society, sometimes referred to as SAS, the Order of Jesuits. Additionally, he was the initially from the Southern and American continent's hemisphere. His election was noteworthy in the Jesuit Society's union and the See of Christ. Since there has always been a close bond between the two establishments, he was the 11th non-European pope following a number of centuries. Gregory was his predecessor in the year 701 III. Following the pope's death, a replacement will be chosen. Despite being religious, this function does not interfere with the political election procedure. Was there a strategy in place to put a new leader in place? Was this the last one? What was in the letter from Pope Francis? Hold on to observing to learn. Pivotal change in the Church of Christ. However, the unimaginable was disclosed in letters. The Pope was an outstanding leader who was given and showed affection to everyone in his vicinity. Pope Francis was adored because of his modesty and dedication to social justice. He refused the night the Pope was elected to be operated in the vehicle, given the cardinals and him, and instead took returning to his hotel via bus. The following day, he carried on with his daily tasks as though he'd not been aware of his new appointment. He went to see Cardinal Jorge. Maria Mejia was hospitalized and experienced a joyful dialogue with patients and employees. His modest way of living and outspokenness on public topics was observed, a lot of people's attention. In spite of the luxury of being the Roman Pope, he has a humble heart, Catholic Church, and unconcerned with luxury. He chose to reside in a tiny flat instead of the graceful bishop's home. The St. Martha guest house. Pope Francis felt more at home in the house, compared to the magnificent structures that were reserved for his role. He took a public transportation ride, means of transportation to connect with the battles of the populace. He oversaw and loved preparing his meals. He showed a deep affection for others, typified by a willingness to discussion between religions. He was considerate of the underprivileged and a global symbol of hope. His function as Pope went beyond the Catholic Church's leadership. Numerous liked his more relaxed and casual leadership style similar to that of the Pope instead of those who had previously occupied the position him. Rather than being given his cardinals' congrats while seated on the new Pope stood on the papal throne. Evident sign that a new era of things had started to change. In the course of his first appearance on St. Peter's balcony basilica, he was dressed in his usual white, the iron pectoral cross and cassock that he'd served as Buenos Aires's archbishop, distinct from the gold and red cassock cross that has previously been worn by others. When he assumed the role of Pope, he had a smooth working relationship with the Roman Curia. This main governing body attended to the day-to-day operations of the Catholic Church. As the head of state of the Vatican City's Holy See, he was given ambassadors from various nations and forwarded his diplomats. He was proficient in the common language of Italian of the Holy See and Vatican City, which helped him manage his responsibilities quickly, the people he collaborated with. He highlighted how vital it is to rely on God's will rather than following numerous regulations. He changed his position as a priest and authority standards, emphasizing service and dedication to the people of God. In addition to his warnings followed the customs exercises prior to his election. Pope Francis disregarded the bonuses given to Vatican staff members each time a new pope is chosen. The distribution, ranking in a donation of millions of euros, was made altruism. Additionally, he reduced the annual 25,000 cardinals received a euro bonus as members of the supervisory board for the bank in Vatican City. He launched 8 cardinals to a new cardinal council advisors in April of 2013. Among these, there were numerous well-known detractors of the council, of Vatican activities. Just one participant originated in the Roman Curia. Their function was to help him with the revision of the Roman Empire's organizational structure Curia. He made sure the procedure was equitable, was impartial with regard to the Vatican's culture, which was frequently detrimental to the governed. He produced 1676 nations cardinals when he started, and maintained a continuous evaluation of their function. 2024 saw him name 110 cardinals younger than 80, so fulfilling the requirements to cast a ballot at a conclave of the Pope when a new one was required. These were his cardinal electors, stated to be the highest. Benedict elected 24 people, but John Paul only elected 6. He founded the Cardinals College, less influenced by Europeans, and instead named cardinals to achieve a balance from poorer nations, such as the world's poorest and most marginalized countries. Although his forebears named the Roman Curia's cardinals, he went against the grain. He designated cardinals with a service-oriented mindset, regardless of their constraining circumstances, more than Benedict's inclination for more learned members of the Church as cardinals. Additionally, he ended the tradition of choosing archbishops for certain historically significant surroundings as cardinals. Pope Francis held the belief that establishing chances for everyone and lived up to that maxim till his last take a breath. Additionally, he addressed the immoral behavior of bishops and priests against pious sisters. Pope Francis didn't leave any going above and above in his revolution of the Catholicism. He talks on the problems of social justice, which includes abolishing of the death sentence with unwavering opinions, discusses the subject and highlights his steadfast assistance and that of the Catholic Church in eliminating such ludicrous legislation. His position was unambiguous on the penalty's annulment as instrument for state justice, since it only serves to increase criminal activity in the community. He also engaged in combat, supports the inclusion of all genders in the execution of Catholic obligations. Despite his rejection of the ordination of priests who are women, he allowed the concept, holding multiple discussions on the subject. Even though he reaffirmed that men were the only ones allowed to join holy orders, was not making a disparaging statement regarding women. Instead, he prepared them to view the choice as a choice rather than a deprivation relief from a demanding task. In 2021, he was in favor of women's institutions as lectors and acolytes. Traditionally, men occupied these roles, but Pope Francis allowed a number of women to take on positions formerly only available to men. For example, Italian magistrate appointments, Katia Sumaria's chance as the first female advocate for justice in the Court of Appeals in Vatican City. In 2023, 30 ladies participated in the voting procedure, the Ordinary General Assembly number 16 of Bishops' Senate. They may have been just over 10% of the total votes, but it was a revolutionary historical period when women had never took part in the procedure. His position regarding corruption was clear from his. Cardinals are chosen to audit the Vatican bursary after financial scandals that garnered media attention during the rule of his predecessor. As he was honored for exceptional leadership, Pope Francis was criticized in a number of ways. His practice on the Holy was the first Thursday after his election. He cleaned and kissed 10 young people's feet, criminals at a correctional institution. He informed them that the ceremony was a sign of his assistance to them. It was the initial, when would Pope involve women in this practice? He had already done it as Anarchbishop, although detractors anticipated a shift when he took up the role of the Pope. Additionally, he was attacked because to his support of fairness education for people who are homoerotic. As he separated the Catholic Church from assisting the communities of homoerotics, he demanded that the prohibition of cruel treatment, instead stirring people in the direction of accepting these people. His persistent appeal for the globe peace has made people feel safer. Numerous nations. His participation in peace was brought about by global rifts and settlement between the U.S. and Cuba. He discussed his anti-immigration views, policies by speaking to the head of America. He has worked out the scope of the bishops appointed by the China's Communist Party and demonstrated assistance to the nation's refugees. Pope Francis was a lighthouse. His strength and steadfast commitment to. As the world changed, he became one of the greatest revolutionaries. Terrible death. On Monday, April 21st, the Pope Francis's death shocked everyone. The 8 clergymen had died early in the morning, hours of Easter, much to everyone's astonishment. The Pope's death was confirmed by the Vatican. Saturday, 7:35 a.m. Prior to his death, his health was in danger. Problems, but was getting better. Pope Francis was released from the medical facility, following weeks of therapy for an infection. He had a persistent pulmonary condition, illness, such as a respiratory emergency, as well as pneumonia. Prior to his death, he appeared in public at the conclusion of the St. Peter's Palm Sunday Mass, the Vatican Square. This was many were surprised because he had maintained a low profile, staying away from public events to nurse his health issues. He was 12 years as a model leader. He died at the age of 88. Pope was last seen by the public Easter Sunday Francis, as his sad death occurred that day. After health issues. Throughout the years, Pope Francis has experienced health issues, challenges. Its intensity caused others to why was he constantly in the front line? Reports state that he had minor heart issues like irregular pulses, but they were swiftly handled without any issues. In his late 80s, he tended to use wheelchairs following multiple reports of knee discomfort and joint problems. Following analysis, the diagnosis revealed osteoarthritis that is chronic and a burst ligament in his knee. The agonizing discomfort and swelling brought on by, he had diverticulitis all the time. Uneasy. Pope Francis had a colon operation to remove a section of his intestine. The last several days of his passage revealed many medical difficulties. He experienced a number of respiratory illnesses, such as bronchitis and pneumonia. It resulted in prolonged stay in the hospital, with his medical staff is dubious about his survival, following 2 issues where he almost died. Later on, he made a favorable outcome and was put on a treatment for double pneumonia for 38 days upon his hospital discharge. Unfortunately, the clergy were unable to finish his medicine while he was dying. Continue. Legacy, aged 88. After the release, tributes flooded in after the startling news from all across the world. Global leaders Georgia's King Charles of Italy, J.D. Vance and Maloney, who met on Sunday, the Pope made their annoyance at the Pope's passing. King Charles explained Pope's death. Francis is considered a significant loss to the worldwide Catholic Church. He pointed out that his legacy of kindness, inclusivity, and unwavering support for the underprivileged and vulnerable would never be forgotten. Pope Francis led a life that was deserving of imitation. His background and ascent to the world is inspired by leaders. His perseverance and commitment to the proper courses elevated him to a prominent figure in church politics worldwide. He has faced difficult times that eventually influenced his personality and include him in the most renowned and esteemed in the world leaders. His unexpected passing while recuperating shocked the entire city of Vatican City. The Secretary General of the United Nations, additionally, Antonio Guterres, entered the globe in expressing sorrow for the clergy. Pope, he said. Francis was a devout man for everyone, religions collaborating with individuals of all convictions and experiences to illuminate a way ahead. He carried the message of hope, humanity, and humility. I felt motivated by his commitment to the company's objectives and principles. The president of Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi, was included in the honor, describing Pope Francis as a humanist who advocated for the underprivileged, equality, and peace. He left a wonderful heritage of genuine affection for one's neighbor. For both non-Catholics and Catholics, this is a huge loss too. Being acquainted with him was a tremendous privilege and honor. May he peace be with you. The president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, said she was sad, in a sincere letter, saying that Pope Francis departed just as the world most needed him. He was always aware how to express his thoughts and feelings to whoever would pay attention. A devout man, and Pope Francis made a clear commitment. Mark, a route to take. Jamal Carter, a Somalian priest, one of the outcast nations, as well as shared his story with the Pope. He put me in charge, and I encountered him multiple times. I noticed a new person in charge of the Church of the Pope. It was more compassionate. He was really kind, hospitable individuals and engaging alongside them. Each time we traveled, he didn't read the speech he had prepared. He wanted to speak to us personally. While Pope Francis was he attended a Catholic missionary school. Under the guidance of a Ukrainian Greek Catholic, Stefan Shmyl, a priest who discussed his commitment, he described how Mario frequently woke up ahead of his peers to help him in his ecclesiastical responsibilities. The service wasn't acting in the Pope's place, but enthusiasm for the call of God. This simplicity and his need for order made him well liked, one of several during his pontificate. Globally, nations are marking the Pope's death. Numerous plans are started to commemorate his heritage. There was a public prayer at the Vatican service to act as a mediator for the clergy. Numerous countries have declared national mournings for weeks to honor his job. In certain nations, churches' bells are programmed to sound at various periods, and warning signs have been hung from priestly offices and churches. Structures. The bells at the French Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral echoed. On the night of his death, 88 times. They also switched off the Eiffel Tower. Pope Francis devoted his life to service, and his influence lives even after his moving on. How do you feel about Pope Francis? Tell us what you think in the remarks. Thank you for viewing. If you like this video, please give it a like and join this channel by subscribing. Prior to you check out the more videos on your screen.